Good. Hello, Ben. I'm Mike. I'm here to ask a few questions about your abroad trip over the this past summer. I want to let you know that at any point throughout the interview, if you need to take a minute, take a break, that's totally okay. We'll take a quick 5. To start things off, where did you go?
Rome, Italy, and Florence. We did a good job.
And with whom did you go?
Southern Connecticut group of English students.
How's the trip going before the incident with the professor?
It was going fantastic. It was incredible.
What was amazing about it? What were the experiences?
Well, it was the first time I had ever lived in an apartment by myself, I would say, and I was, living with 4 other guys, three other guys, and you're actually like living your life. You're going and buying groceries. You're going and you are a part of their culture. It's entirely new.
So you can say you adapted well to the new environment.
I would say, yeah, I'd say so.
Awesome. Now, tell me about the incident.
The incident. Well, they had given me warnings. There are numerous accounts of what I actually was doing and wasn't doing. I did pee in the middle of the road when I was drinking. I am aware of that. But the professor was sort of standing right there, so it's like you didn't kick me off the trip at that exact moment. You saw me pissing in the middle of public. The second time I was high-fiving people at the Uffizi Gallery, which is, it's a classy art gallery. I was just being an asshole. But that was the reasons they gave for why they sent me home. Because I was, being eccentric and different, and I was sticking out. Something like that.
What was your immediate reaction to them kicking you out?
My immediate reaction, I didn't really know how to react at the time, because they sort of woke me up at 6 in the morning and said, okay, pack your shit, you're leaving. So, I was spastic at the moment. I was like, okay, what are the reasons? And those are the ones they gave me. And then I later found out that the professor said he was worried about me. We had 2 days off to go wherever we had pleased. And I had decided I had set up a day trip to Pisa by myself. I know there was another girl in the class who had set up a trip to Milan. She was a fan of Ducatis. So she was going to go up there, and I was going to go to Pisa, do the whole touristy thing. And the reason the professor later gave was because he was worried about me. I didn't know how to react, so I reacted. It was kind of like a cry for help. Like, I didn't know who to go to. So.
Did you open up at all to the professor? Maybe try to, before acting, maybe try to level with him, explain, and maybe try to help your case in staying, or did you just
I tried to reason with him, but there was really no reasoning with it. I think we were both at fault. We both didn't really know how to react to one another. It was instead of just like explaining your actual motives, you're gonna like hide your motives, that type of thing. Yeah.
How were you transported back to the airport?
At 6 in the morning, they called a cab with, it was him and another older woman in the class. She was like a grad student or something. And they had called a cab and they're like, okay, we're going to pack you up. in that cab ride is when he told me how he like the real reason he sent me home.
And what were your thoughts on the plane about what happened? Did anything hit you, even just you having more time to let it sink in?
I mean, I thought it was kind of funny, really, because at one point, like, the whole thing was shenanigans. I had gotten, the Italian cops were, like, frisking me down, and they were going through my backpack to, like, and they were flipping through, because I wrote a lot in Italy, and they were thinking, like, it was a communist manifesto, and that I was, like, a crazy, you know.
Just out the blue, or did?
No, they thought I was a threat.
Just by as soon as you walked in, they.
I think it was like the professor had called and made them anxious, and you know, the chain of command, the ripple effect.
Gotcha.
He made them worried, and in their worry, they had men in gloves search me. I did feel like a celebrity, though. I got to the front of the line of everything. International terrorist coming through. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm back.
Now, before we started filming, you told me about you didn't go straight home back here to Connecticut after the incident.
No, well, I had to fly back to New York. I don't actually remember which airport we flew back to, but it was only me on the airplane. At one point, because the professor and the older woman left me in the airport by myself, I had a moment in the Italian airport going, you know, I'm supposed to go to New York? What would happen if I hopped on a plane to Chicago? Whose fault would that be?
And
How much extra crap would other people be getting?
what did you do there?
In New York,
Chicago. Or,
I didn't go to Chicago.
oh, you just.
I never went to Chicago. It was just it was a thought that
Gotcha.
had crossed my mind. Just a really funny thought.
So you just spent some extra time in New York.
Spent some extra time in New York.
And what did you do with the extra time?
My uncles, I'd come to find out that my uncles were all waiting for me in the terminal, and the professor had said that the reason he had sent me home, another reason, was because that I was hearing voices. So they were all surrounding me, like, is he hearing voices? Should we be nervous? And, you know, each of them, you know, took me to the side, like, is he going to open up to one of us? How do we know? Like,
How did that make you feel? Own family.
I mean, I didn't really, I wasn't upset, I wasn't, I think it could have ended differently, you know, that type of thing.
Gotcha. Now, coming back home, how did you get home from the airport?
From the airport, my uncles drove me.
That's so, and then they drove you back to Connecticut.
They drove me back to Connecticut, yeah.
And how did you explain to? Before I asked that, so did your mother meet your uncles, or did your uncles just bring you straight home?
No, they brought me to my grandmother's house in Connecticut. My mother was in Florida. She had to pay an additional $700 to, like, terminate my trip early.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So your uncles were already told by your professor something about why you're coming home?
Yeah, they had gotten, the professor called the International Study Department, and they called my family, that type of thing.
How did you explain it to them, or did you, say your side of it?
I did. And to this day, I still think that they think I'm hearing voices. Frankly, it was
other than your uncles, your mother and grandmother, how did they react?
Oh, it wasn't. My mother just wanted to see me healthy. She wanted to know that everything was all right. The concerned mother thing, which is fine, but it was just the rest of the family that they were all on edge. Like, okay, is he going to do something? If he's hearing voices, are they telling him to do certain things? Like, my cousin, a distant cousin of mine actually has schizophrenia. And as it was, they had set up a fishing trip, and the person who lived in Indiana, her father, came to Connecticut, and we sat down, and he like, tried talking it out, like, they're all doctors. So they just started treating me like a lab rat, really. And yeah.
You think they were doing that because they really were looking out for you and wanted to help you, or?
That's a really tough question to answer, because, I mean, consciously they might think they're trying to help me, but unconsciously I don't think they are. That type of thing.
Why wouldn't you think they would be doing it for your own well-being?
Well, they never wanted to. I really just never thought that they wanted to see me excel truly in the world. I feel like they want to see me just as miserable as they are. I mean, if you watch these guys at their work, they're just like, they do the same thing over and over. It's like Daryl from Shakespeare in Hollywood. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And that's it. That's their whole job.
The corporate yes men, pretty much?
Yeah, they're corporate yes men. They kiss ass. And they get nothing, like, they are the ones who get blamed for all losses, and they get no credit for any gains.
Gotcha.
And they really are only, it seems like they don't truly look like that. That's what I'm trying to get at. They won't see that for me.
Moving ahead, with what's next, what did you find out? When did you find out you would not get a full refund from the trip?
I found that out within an hour of getting off the plane. Because they had, I had to call everybody under the sun. I had to call the mental health clinic on campus.
University had you do this?
Yep, the university had me do. They had to follow the protocol, which they themselves broke to begin with. They had me call the university health services. They had me call the international services. They had me call my mother. They had me call everybody under the sun just to have them be sure that I was safe.
And how did you react to the fact that you weren't going to get a refund?
I mean, it wasn't my money to begin with. I mean, down the line, it was like, I guess you could say, eventually it'd be my inheritance. But I literally did nothing for that trip.
About this trip with the professor, how did this affect your relationship with the professor, if it, or if you already had one prior, and if so, how did it affect it?
I mean, it pretty much stays the same. Like, we didn't really talk much. We kept to ourselves. I had to, pass one of the criteria for completing the trip, completing the classes, was that I had to write the essays, write the coursework. which I had to actually like talk to him about. And other than that, it was just like nothing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How has this incident made you reflect on your own behavior?
It's made me realize how I've sort of been. It's made me look for some sort of excitement in my life. The trip itself was enough of a jolt.
You just want to keep that going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, exactly. It was a great trip, you know? I would have been on my own going to a place that I've never been before. Like, and people, like, backpack through Europe by themselves. Like, it's nothing. And I just want to take a day trip to Pisa, and I can't do that.
So you would probably say you have no regrets then, do you?
I mean, I guess if I were to say that I do have a regret, it's that I didn't pick a trip that wasn't 6 months instead of 3 weeks. Like a semester long versus a 3 week long. Because that trip only gives you a taste. You're not getting the full experience of living in a different country.
And moving forward, how do you plan on moving forward with this incident? And do you have anyone that's going to help you either with just now continuing, living, spending your school year, school time here? Any plan of attack against the, or not attack, I should say, but actually answer the first part of the question first, then I have a follow up to that.
So repeat the
I'll
question.
repeat that. How do you plan on moving forward from this?
Well, I guess I'm moving forward by doing this. I'm talking about it, and I'm giving my side of the story. I think the institution considers this done and finished, but I don't think it'll ever be truly finished.
And with that, I'll ask, how do you plan on going forward with the institution, and do you have anyone who is going to help you with that?
I mean, there's, I guess, it's like, what can I do? Because it's, I kind of feel like I'm one man, and the institution is just, they have armies of lawyers, and they have, people who can easily sway and persuade people to think different ways. Unfortunately, my resources are slim.
So right now you're still trying to plan out, you definitely want to still do something, but you're still in the thought process of it?
I mean, I'd like to. I just, I wouldn't know where to begin. Maybe this is the beginning.
Very well, could be. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything we covered throughout this interview? Any last minute notes you want to mention about it?
Would have been a hell of a last week. Would have been one hell of a last week. Oh my god. I would love that. I guess my final thought on it is that because I had, they give you scholarships and stuff, and you have to write thank you notes, that's what they expect. And I guess my final thought is that I learned that we all have certain expectations of ourselves, and I wasn't living up to my own expectations of what I really wanted. And it's figuring out what I wanted that kind of got me to where I am. And I'm still trying to figure that out.
Well, Ben, I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to wish you the best of luck with figuring that out and with your future plans with this incident, and good best of luck with everything.
Thank you, sir.
Back in a moment.